Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Allstate Soccer Show. My name is Camila Gonzalez. I'm from TLN's Serie A Halftime Show. If you want to know a little bit more about us, make sure you go to our booth in the Expo Hall. I am so excited to be back here at the Allstate Soccer Show. And today we are doing the Canadian Women's National Team panel. So without further ado, let's welcome our participating players. First off, our goalkeeper, our savior, joining us all the way from Sweden. Please welcome Stephanie Labbé.
Yay!
Hello, Steph. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you. I'm super excited to be here.
Of course. We're so excited to have you here. Of course, we're bringing in your teammates. We're going to be asking you some questions about your career, about the road to the Olympics. So I'm going to get you to join me with the applauses as we welcome our next player. Joining us from Orlando right now, Desiree Scott. There she is.
Hello,
hey,
everybody. Hello.
How are you? Welcome.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Of course. And now, last but not least, we have Shelina Zadorsky joining us from England. Hey, how are you?
I'm great, thank you. So excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
I'm so excited to have the three of you here. Of course, girl power, kicking off the Allstate Soccer Show with an all-female panel. And we're going to be going through some individual questions, then some questions that each of you can kind of jump in and give your answer. And a reminder to everyone back home who is watching, we will have fan Q&As. So make sure you drop them in the comment box. And before we finish, you can ask your questions to your favorite player. So let's get started. First off, Shelina, you've had an incredible season in England. You just re-signed a contract with the Spurs. Talk to us about what that experience has been like playing overseas.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's been obviously a very unique season in the sense of, I guess Corona has impacted everyone, but I had an opportunity to come over here and play in the UK, and I kind of, I just went for it, and I've loved every minute with Spurs so far. I think we have a lot of potential as a team, and I think we can really finish higher in the table. But it's been such a fun place to be, and football is everything here in the UK. So I think that's really cool to be a part of that culture as well.
And then soccer is everything in England. It's life. I mean, we saw it last night with the Champions League finals. I want to know, have you noticed a big difference in the support for women's soccer playing for a team like the Spurs?
Yeah, I think, it's been really great. We, this year we moved to the men's facilities, and, we're training full time at, top quality facilities, and trying to build that brand together with the men and the women. So I think that's been really awesome. And I think there's still ways to go in the investment in women's football, but I'm privileged to be a part of it this far. And I think, there's only exciting for women in sport.
Now, Desiree, I want to talk to you about what the Canadian fans mean. I mean, at major competitions, at friendlies, you always get to experience the love of the Canadian fans. So what does it mean to you when you get to interact with the fans, talk to the fans, and hear their support?
Oh, man, the fans are everything for us and our team. I mean, when you can go to a game, it's been a while since we've had a home match and seen our Canadian fans in the stands, but you truly feel their energy, their electric love for our team. And we really vibe off of them when we see them in the stands, and we feel their support 100%. And, when we get out there, we're playing for our fans. We truly believe in that. That's something that pushes us on in the 87th minute of the game. We're playing for our fans, and we truly feel the support, whether we're in the stadium with them or playing somewhere abroad. It's just incredible.
And we saw it with the Leafs and the Habs. I mean, slowly we're getting more fans back into the arenas. What do you think that moment is going to be like when you walk out wearing the Maple Leaf and you can hear the fans?
Oh, man, unbelievable. I mean, already when you put on that Canada jersey, you're filled with so much pride and gratefulness to be representing your country. But then to see people live after such a wild year of not having them in the stands, it's going to be a moment for sure for all of us.
Now, Stephanie, I want to talk to you about being a goalkeeper, because I think there are so many young girls out there that dream of playing in this position, but they are said to see the game a little differently. So what are some of the keys to your success, and how do you keep your teammates aligned and organized when you're playing?
Yeah, I would say the number one thing that I really think that really helped with my development was growing up. I never specified being a goalkeeper when I was young. I think especially the way the position is played today as a goalkeeper, you want to be really confident with the ball at your feet and be able to play in tight spaces and kind of be an extra attacker on the field. So I think as somebody who's young, it's really important to continue to build those skills and train as an outfield player, maybe even play in some games as an outfield player and kind of get that balance so that you're confident using your feet in pressure situations. But then also I think take the time to really learn the position. It is a unique position. And for goalkeepers, it takes time to understand the game and to get those experiences. So put in the extra time to learn the position, like study the game, because I think something that's so important as a goalkeeper is to understand the game, because a lot of the time you're not directly involved. So being able to anticipate things and read the game is super important.
And it has been over a year that amateur sports can't really be played. So do you have any tips for those young players that are in a goalkeeper position and they don't really have any teammates to train with or practice with? What are some of the drills or ways that they can keep on top of their game?
Yeah, I think just doing different fun coordination things like hand-eye coordination, juggling with tennis balls. You can easily do that on your own. I think studying the game, like watching football, there is a lot of games now that are on TV. So watching the game, studying the game, getting excited about it in that way. And I think just getting out and being active and finding that love for the game. I know last year when it was a year and I wasn't being able to train as much, it was one of the first times I really went out and kicked a ball against the wall in a really long time. And I think it's just getting back to the foundations and that passion and love for the game and bringing out that little kid in you.
Perfect. Now, Shelina, I do want to talk to you about your game. I mean, you have evolved as a player so much over the past few years. So I want to know, what are those life lessons or those experiences that you can really attribute your growth to, and how could they inspire a young player that are hoping to follow your trajectory?
Oh, I mean, I think it's been I guess when I look at my journey and then you compare to others, like even us three here, no one is the same. And I think that's what's so cool about it. Like we've all had our ups and downs and we've all, gone through challenges. And when I first started to play for the national team, I actually had my first cap and then didn't get back until 2 years later. So that was a challenge enough for me to really push myself and go abroad and keep improving in my game. And I think it's surrounding yourself with people who really inspire you and make you want to be better. Like I can't say it enough about our national team. I'm so excited to come in every time we're together because it's such a good group of people and they make you want to be better, but not only on the field, but off the field. So I think it's surrounding yourself with people who make you better. And I mean, it's not giving up at the end of the day. And I think all three of us have gone through periods where it was challenging. And I mean, we've come out this far because we don't give up.
And when you go through those hardships, like not getting called up or losing a game, like how long do you stay in that mentality? Do you kind of just push it to the side and use it as motivation, or does it still affect you? Because I think no matter what level of professional sport you're playing, it is hard to not get down on yourself.
Definitely. And I think we're all competitors and we want to be at the peak of our game every minute of every game. And that's just not the reality of football. It's a 90-minute game and anything can happen. But I think it's going in with that growth mindset that we talk about and really looking at a challenge or an obstacle and just looking at it as a new opportunity to get better. And that's kind of what I've tried to do. Of course, I'll make mistakes on the ball, off the ball, but I kind of just in my mind, I'm like, all right, what's my next task? What can I do to impact the game positively now? So it's just really building your mindset and really growing in that mental side of the game.
Amazing. Now, Desiree, your nickname is the Destroyer. You are feisty, you are committed, you are highly skilled. Talk to me about your game, how you approach it from the center of the field, and what do you think made you earn this powerful nickname?
Yeah, people ask me about the nickname and it's like totally not me off the pitch. I mean, I am a destroyer on field, but off it, I'm a complete softie. But I think it does sort of just replicate my play. I love a good tackle. I love to be that ball winner, that sort of person who's snuffing out, opposition's attacks and looking to break up the play and then give the ball to, our magicians on the field higher up. So for me, it's just about how can I bring that physicality? I know Canada has a DNA for that. We're that physical team who everyone's going to put their body on the line. And I try and bring that in the middle of the pitch and win the balls for our team. And yeah, for me, the mindset is just first 5 minutes. Can I make that first tackle? Can I win the ball and sort of get the momentum for our team and then keep possession and just really keep my game simple? So tackle, spread the ball out. Really, really simple.
Love that. No, Steph, talk to me about your career as well. I mean, you have spoken candidly in the past about your experiences on the pitch, off the pitch, and also as an international player. So, what advice or what message do you have for young kids that kind of want to take their career to that next level and follow in your footsteps?
I think the biggest thing is like no dream is too big, and whatever that dream is, like don't let anybody stop you or tell you that you can't achieve it. There's been many times in my career where I've either been cut or people have told me that I won't make it, or myself, I've like lost my own confidence and my own self-worth. And I think it's really important to continue to believe in yourself no matter what other people think. And when you have a dream and set your mind to it, like work your butt off every single day to make that dream happen. And you might get 11 no's, but that 12th one might come and it might be a yes. And that's the one you need. And we all have different journeys. We've all made it in different ways. And I think that's what's really cool about our team is there's so much representation from so many different backgrounds and so many different stories that there really is something for everyone. And it doesn't matter where you come from, where you start. It's all about just having that dream and never giving up.
I love that. And I think it doesn't matter whether it's soccer or whatever it is that you do in life. I mean, sometimes we all doubt ourselves. We lose a little bit of confidence. So what is your way, Steph, of getting out of that rut, getting out of that mindset? Do you practice meditation? Is there a song you like to listen to? Like what gets you back into that positivity?
Yeah, I definitely have a consistent mindfulness practice in terms of yoga and meditation. It's something that's really strong in my life. And for the most part, I stick to it. But with that, there's always challenging days, and there's always days where maybe I need something a little different. And I think, I've kind of developed what we could call like a toolbox of different things that I can access on any different day. And I think for sure, like the yoga and meditation is something that for me has allowed me to strengthen my ability to tune out negative thoughts and really control the thoughts that I allow in my head. And I think that's allowed me to really like reframe negative experiences into positive ones and make sure that the only thoughts that are in my head are positive things that are building up my own self-worth and self-confidence.
Amazing. And I think that the younger you are when you start developing that, especially as a player, the more important it is. So that's definitely great advice for all the kids watching back home. Shelina, I see that you are wearing a Canada soccer jacket. So for you, what does it mean to carry that maple leaf, to wear that maple leaf and represent our country?
Oh, it's such a good question. I mean, obviously, Desi, touched on how much pride we have to play for our country and how big of an honor it is because there's so many people who would, die to be in these positions and have these opportunities. And I feel very grateful. I feel grateful for the people who have helped me get here, but it's just soaking up every minute. And I think one of my favorite things is just being around people and working towards a goal with these people. And I think that's what I take with me. No matter the wins or losses, it's building those connections with people and being able to, get the best out of each other. And I think for me, it's all about the connection and the family that we've created with Canada Soccer. And I mean, I can't even compare it to any other. So I think it's really something special. And I feel, really honored to be a part of it.
And you guys have achieved so much. I mean, we obviously have to talk about the back-to-back bronze medals. Desiree, how similar or how different were the experiences, the team, the moment, when you look back at 2012 and 2016?
Yeah, I mean, 2012 was my first Olympic Games, and you can never forget your first, as they say. And I know that I was just like soaking every moment in, and like all the firsts that happened in a tournament, first game, all that buildup and the hype around your first Olympics and and the journey leading up to that, all the work that we put in, and to get on a podium at your first Olympics, it's just unbelievable. And then now you have sort of that expectation. You have fans who have signed on and rallied for you and behind you. And now you want to perform again at the next Olympics. And there's that expectation there to get back on the podium, not only from the fans, but from within our squad as well. And I think at that 2012 Olympics, our team was so focused and we had a game plan, but it was sort of one way. And I think the following years, 4 years later, our team had adapted. We brought in some younger players who really spiced up our, veteran group that was there. And we were able to be more adaptable in the formations we played, what we showed on the field, lineups, had more depth. So I think our team continues to grow and build into this perfect little mix of old and young, and even going into this upcoming Olympics, we've got a unique blend that's just truly Canadian, but special in its own right.
And we will get to talking about the road to these Olympics because we are, of course, so excited to see you ladies on the pitch. But before we get into that, I mean, we all see on TV the success, the games, the goals. But Steph, is there a moment that you remember very fondly with the Canadian women's national team, one of your favorite experiences that maybe we didn't get to see on TV?
It's a really tough one. I was trying to think about like some of my favorite times with the national team. And to be honest, like I think about the stories that we tell and the laughs that we have, and like funny enough, they're actually kind of all rooted around some like challenging times that we've been through and like the hardships that we've been through. And I think like those are the moments where as a team we become vulnerable, and it's hard and it's challenging, but like those are the moments where we really come together. And now, because we've like grown so much and we have the right mindset, like looking back on them, we're able to have a laugh about them and kind of joke around, because we know that like it was a super challenging time and we were raw, we were emotional, but then like we came out of it. So I think like what I'm kind of referring to is definitely around the like 2011 World Cup. And I think about how our team was in such a challenging place at that time. But then like, look what the team did 9 months later. Like the team has grown so much from those moments, but now because of how much work we've put into to overcome the challenging times, like we're able to look back and have some laughs about it. And I think we really like have seen each other at our best and at our absolute worst. And I think that's what really brings us together as a team and makes us really feel like a family.
I love that. Now, these next questions are for any one of you that wants to jump in and answer. We are going to get into talking about the Olympics. Obviously, you guys are riding a huge wave of success after having a great camp in the UK with the new head coach, Bev Priestman. So I want to know, what is the mindset of the team right now going into this preparation for the Olympics?
Who wants to take it?
Or should I just pick one?
Yeah, we might be pausing on each question there. I can answer this one maybe. Yeah, I think the mindset one is, with the unique year around COVID, we haven't had the chance to be with each other and preparing as often and as much as we would have liked. So I think right now it's like we make every moment count that we are together and in training camp. Obviously, every team is in a similar situation having to battle that. But for us, normally we may have a residency or we have camp every month. But now we're like all over the world with COVID restrictions. So for us, it's like our team is so special and unique when we are together. So it's making every moment on the grass, every moment off the pitch, watching training film, preparing for the opposition that we're going to face come Tokyo, and then making our professional environments count as well, doing the most that we can individually as we're separated, so that when we come together, it's just about raring to go from day one. And time's running out. We're less than 2 months away. So it's exciting times.
And you did mention the pandemic. It has changed a lot of the way that you guys train, that you guys compete. Do you think that the past Olympic experiences are going to help you get through this, or is everyone just feeling like you don't really know what to expect once you step foot into Tokyo?
I think for sure, like the past experiences will help. I think also for soccer players, like our experience typically is quite unique in the sense of like, we don't stay in the village. We're in a city outside of the main city. So for us, it's like business as usual. We go, we have our hotel that we typically stay in. We're traveling between games. We kind of just put our head down and we work hard and we do our thing kind of outside of the Olympic vibe. We typically watch the other events on video or live stream or on TV, however we can access them. And for us, it'll be, it's at the very end when we typically get to reintegrate into the kind of full Team Canada feeling. So I think that will obviously be a little different or missing or whatever that will look like. But I think for us, it's like going in and like I said, putting our head down and doing our job and doing our work. And hopefully that experience will come again for those that maybe this is their first.
And the group stage draw did happen. You guys are going to be facing Japan, Great Britain, and Chile. After hearing that draw, what is your perspective? What are you guys expecting from that initial stage in the competition?
Yeah, I think, you know what? There's so many quality teams in this Olympic Games. And obviously we just faced England and it was a tough game and we got a great result. And, you know, now with Great Britain, they'll be adding even more quality players. So we know that will be such a good match for us. And then, of course, the Japanese and just how technical they are, you know, how organized and how they move the ball with such ease. So we're going to have to really be, you know, defensively tight, but also we want to show our attacking flair and we want to go and, you know, win against top teams as well. So I think all the games and, you know, Chile then face a new look and something we don't see as often. So I think each game will present its challenges, but we're going to prepare the best we can. And I mean, we're so excited.
And for the three of you as relative veterans, I don't know if that's the right word, but how excited are you seeing this up and coming younger generation of Canadian players that are slowly starting to join the professional system?
Go on, Des.
Oh man, as anyone can tell about me, I'm always just so hype and like love to just hype up our young players, our old players, everyone in between. I think I'm just so in awe of the skill level and like the ease at which players come in with confidence and their ability on the ball to just showcase who they are and be themselves. I know when I was first a young player, I came in like a bit skittish and like unsure of what to bring, but these players are coming in confident. They're rocking it from day one, doing things that I would like maybe still even now be a little scared to do. So I'm just impressed with the skill level and their belief in themselves to show who they are on the daily basis in a competitive, tough environment.
And we have heard this phrase a lot, which is, you know, being more than just an athlete, using your voice, speaking up for different issues. So I want to know, for each of you, do you find a responsibility to be an ambassador, to stand up for your beliefs, to really be a role model for the Canadian youth that follow you?
Yeah, I think it's super important. Like, we have worked so hard to get to where we are, but with that, the reality comes that we do have a platform and we do have a voice and people are listening. And I think it's important to stand up for what you believe in. And I think representation is so important, whether that's for race, cultural identity, like sexual identity, sexual orientation. Like, there's so many different backgrounds on our team that we want to represent. And we want to show that, like, it doesn't matter who you are, you're valued and you're worthy. And like, whatever, like I said before, whatever you want to do, whatever you dream of, like, you can do it. And I think being able to speak out, I know for me, like, I want to be a authentic and genuine person. And I think showing like exactly who you are allows people to relate to you and connect with you in different ways. And I think our team has really tried to do that in many different ways. And like I said, stand up for what's right.
And without a doubt, I think that's why Canada has fallen in love with the Canadian women's national team, because more than just athletes, you are stories to follow. You are ambassadors of change. So thank you for representing our country. And before we do get into the fan question and answers, I do want to ask about women's professional leagues, because it is no secret that there is no top tier level team in Canada right now. But our Canadian women's national team is so successful. So as players that have found success outside of the country, how important do you think it is for these young Canadian girls to have a league to follow, to support, and to dream of hopefully playing with one day?
Yeah, I mean, I think all three of us can echo and say that we would love to see Canada have a professional league. I mean, being able to grow up and go right outside, you know, your door and drive and watch people you look up to play right in your backyard. I think that is so meaningful. And to have Canadian professionals playing in Canada, I mean, I think it only helps to grow the game. And we've always wanted it to happen. And we want to keep pushing to get investors interested. And we want people to, you know, take the step to get a league in Canada, because we have the US League, we have, you know, top leagues in, you know, England, France, Germany, all of the above. But obviously we have, you know, stayed basically in the top 10 as a nation. But to continue to develop, I think it would be imperative for us to, you know, provide leagues and have people playing in Canada.
Amazing. Now I think it is time to go to the fan questions. So again, there may be a little awkward pause as we decide who wants to take the question, but let's start out. So we're going to start with Nicholas Cloquid, and I hope I'm not mispronouncing that. He's asking, at what age did you actually start playing professionally?
Start doing the math.
I signed my contract right out of university, so I was around 21 when I first started, and I went to Sweden.
I was the exact same, right after Michigan.
Yeah. Okay, and Andrew is asking, and I guess this kind of ties into this, what is your message for all young female soccer players that are aspiring to achieve their potential and I guess grow professionally one day?
I always say a similar message. Like, one, I say be your own biggest cheerleader. I think you have to have your own back and belief in yourself. And that's something I've learned over my career. Like, nobody can be you. So just bring who you are every day and work your butt off to get there, and just trust in your own abilities and confidence, and really build that as you grow and put in the work, because it will pay off.
And now Lily Edgar wants to know, and I think this ties back, Steph, into what we were saying about never giving up on yourself. Have there ever been moments when you wanted to quit, but you gained your confidence again and kept playing? And what was that moment?
I could speak a little bit. In 2012, I went through a super challenging time, mostly personally and mentally. But I was kind of at this point where I stopped believing in myself and stopped believing that I could do it, that I could achieve what I really wanted. And I made a really difficult decision to step away from the national team at that time. And I think it was really important for me to gain back that confidence in myself and do the things that I needed to do away from specific environments in order to kind of gain that passion back and that belief in myself. And I think sometimes you have to prioritize your own well-being and your own self in certain moments. But at the end of the day, the dream was always there. I just knew I needed to take a different path to get there. And I think that's the biggest thing is, as Desi said, be your own biggest cheerleader. And if a certain path isn't working, it's up to you to put yourself on whatever path is best for you. And as long as you're having fun and you're enjoying it, that's what matters. And that's what's going to make you the best on the field, is when you're the best off the field.
Amazing. Now, Julia wants to know, what has been your favorite game that you have played for Canada?
Tough one.
Good question.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I have multiple, but there is definitely one from the 2019 France World Cup that sticks out for me. And it was the game where we played New Zealand. And that might be more of a personal thing, but it was just the sense of confidence and the way we moved the ball and the way that just felt playing in that stadium on that day. And it just felt like we were always going to win, and we were going forward, playing forward, creating chance after chance, defending well. And I just remember that game because, it was my first World Cup, and every game was insane to me, but particularly that one because I felt like our whole team was on the right page, and it just felt really, unique in the sense that we were all so united. So that's definitely one of my favorite games.
Amazing. Now, Desiree, Steph, I'd love to hear yours too, because I feel like taking that walk back down memory lane is so fun. So do you guys have a favorite match in mind?
Steph?
Ooh, I have a few, but I think I'm going to have to be cliche and say our bronze medal game against Brazil, in the Rio Olympics. I think Brazilian fans are some of the most passionate fans I think that you can play in front of in the football world. And anytime we play in Brazil, it's always loud, and there's drums and there's fireworks and there's flares and you name it, it's there. And so to play against the home country in an Olympics in front of 50,000 of their fans, and they were out from when we walked out for warm up, the stadium was probably at 80% full already. They were there the entire warm up, the entire game. And I remember even it was probably 45 minutes after the game ended for when we actually got our medals, and majority of the fans were still there. And it was just so cool to play in front of such a passionate cultural like fan base. And, you know, of course, like to be able to step out there and beat the home country was like an amazing feeling. And I just, yeah, there's so many things about that game that like still give me goosebumps to think back on.
And Desiree, yours?
Yeah, I'm going to go like a little bit generic because I have a terrible mindset. People always ask like, when was your first cap? And I never can remember these things, but I just love, because we don't get to do it often, playing like any game at home in Canada. Those are things that stick out for me, is playing in front of our fans, and just like the feeling you get when you come out and the cheers, the stadium erupts, the sea of red, like literally everyone's wearing red jerseys and you see like everyone's name on the back, and just supporting women's soccer and supporting our team. There's such a love there, and we truly feel that energy. And because we don't get to do it so often, those moments at home are pretty special.
I love that all of these moments have to do with the fans. Like that gets me so much more excited to when we can all be back supporting all of you ladies. So I'm sure everyone back home felt that as well. Now I think, okay, this next question, they asked it anonymously, which I found interesting. They want to know, do you think that women's soccer players can soon have fair pay like men's in the future? And I'm going to add my own little bit to that. What is missing so that we can achieve that? Tough question.
Oof. I could take this on a little bit and then I'm going to pass it on to the others. But my first instinct is what is missing is investment and exposure. Those are the two things that I think have to get to the front of the page. I think there's a lot of people that can like post out on social media and say, we need this. But at the end of the day, if people aren't opening their wallets and investing in women's football, it's not going to change. And I think it's so much easier said than done, but that has to be there. And I think at the same time, exposure has to be there. Like people have to see our faces. People have to learn our names. People have to see the game that they want to invest in. And it's, I'm not sure which comes before which in terms of like investment exposure. But if we want to ask people to invest in something, we also have to be exposed and they have to see what they're putting their money into. So I think those two things are at the front of the conversation that have to start happening in order to take this game to the next level.
Very well said. I don't think, Shelina, Desiree, do you have anything to add to that? That was very well said.
Very well said.
No, I think you've hit the nail on the head.
Absolutely. And I think as fans, we also have to engage a lot more, watch our female teams, support them, and engage with them as much as we do with the men's team. So it really is on all of us, everyone back home watching as well, to make that happen. So very well said, Steph. Now we have a question from Vincent, and it has to do a bit with the professional league question that we said earlier. You know, there's two players currently in Europe, one in the NWSL. What do you make of a rising trend of young Canadians going to Europe to play rather than staying home and waiting for an NWSL opportunity? Is this a start of a more regular pathway for the next generation of Canadian women? Shelina and Steph, do you feel that Europe provides better opportunities for Canadian women? And Desiree, do you feel that the NWSL is giving enough chances to young Canadians of making it? A very long question, so we will start, if you want, Shelina, with you.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I guess it's all timing as well. So when I graduated university, I wasn't drafted into the NWSL. So right away, it was hard for me to get into the NWSL as a Canadian. And that's why I went abroad. And that might be why you see people going abroad now as well, because Canadians are still internationals in the NWSL. And, you know, that challenge of taking up a very, you know, coveted international spot is not an easy thing. So I personally, when I compare the leagues, I've had great experiences in both. And for me, what kind of drew me here to the UK was how the season is run. It coincides with FIFA windows really well. You know, it's almost a whole year, so you feel like, you know, this is my work. I don't have, you know, 4 or 5 months off in between. So I think in that sense, it's very professional. But then again, you see teams in the NWSL who are investing. You see a Portland who have 13,000 fans every you know game. So I think it's just getting that consistency across the board in all leagues. and hopefully having more Canadians able to freely play in the NWSL, or following a pathway in Europe.
And Steph, staying on the topic of Europe, what are your thoughts on this? Is Europe kind of a better pathway? Is it something that more young Canadians should be aspiring towards?
I think there's also a draw for our young players in terms of like finances. I think financially for some young players, there's better opportunities in Europe. I know in the NWSL, there's still a salary cap, and I know that comes into question. And as of right now, like with the international cap, like there are very few spots in the NWSL, whereas teams can take a load on like more internationals in Europe. So there just tends to be more opportunities for that. And I think it's style of play. Like players, different countries offer different styles of plays. And so for different players, they're going to succeed in different areas. And it doesn't mean that one league is better or worse than another. But I think for different players, and depending what you want to like improve on and work on, like different types of leagues are going to offer you different types of challenges. And so I think players, like I know for myself, I've kind of moved around different, and like Shelina said, it's timing, like different things come up at different times. And at that point, it's what's best for your career, but it doesn't mean you're going to be there forever. And I think it's just really important to, wherever you are, to be challenged and be in an environment that's going to push you to grow.
And Desiree, for you, do you feel that the NWSL is giving enough opportunities, enough chances for young Canadians?
Yeah, piggybacking off what she and Steph have said, with the international spot, it is tough to come in, especially if you're not going into a college in the NCAA to come in the draft. So I think there's definitely room for growth for Canadian players specifically. If we can maybe remove that international spot, get the NWSL to switch it up. But again, I truly believe in your path, and everyone is unique. So both leagues provide unique challenges, and I think are both quality leagues for sure.
Perfect. And now Christine wants to ask Steph, what was it like playing against Bayern Munich?
Yeah, it was exciting. I think number one, anytime you get to play in Champions League is something you think about as a young footballer. It's a really amazing experience. And then the opportunity to play against the top powerhouse is always awesome as well. And I think playing with FC Rosengard here in Sweden against Bayern, it was a really exciting challenge for us. And like being able to go to their grounds and play there. And then, I think it's just anytime you get the experience to play against different teams and like challenge tactically how you play, every league plays so differently. So to see that difference in tactics and physicality and all those things is really amazing. And, obviously Bayern has a long history of success, and it was amazing to have that experience.
Perfect. Now, Nigel asks, is there more pressure at the Olympics as part of a bigger team, or is there more pressure at a World Cup with the national team? I feel like there'd be pressure in both, but which one do you feel is a bit of a bigger responsibility carrying that flag?
Tough.
I think personally, I love the Olympic Games, always have, but there is a spot in me that the World Cup is football's tournament. And so I don't know. I don't want to compare pressure because it's really how you deal with it and how you perceive it. And either way, you're representing your incredible country. So I think you take that pressure on board anyway. But I feel like the World Cup, I don't know. It's too hard.
I'm kind of leaning with you that way, She. In the World Cup, that like eyes are just on football, So there's that sort of like added pressure you have to perform. I
think with that too, like the World Cup has an extra game in it. Like it takes longer to get to the final. There's an extra knockout game. So I think that adds more pressure as well, knowing that like, you have to do well in your group, and then to get out of your group, it's not just like one game and then a semifinal. So I think that adds the pressure as well, knowing that it is such a long journey and you really have to be consistent over a long period of time.
Yeah.
Now, I want to ask you guys, this is more of a personal question. With the Olympics, I have heard from former players in the past that there was always that excitement to like try and take a selfie with Usain Bolt or being in the same room as some of the most famous athletes in the world. Do you have a moment where you were extremely starstruck by an athlete at the Olympics?
I mean, we don't get, again, we don't get to be in the village too often, which kind of sucks for those starstruck moments, like in the cafeteria with your plate, you hope you run into somebody. But speaking of Usain Bolt, like I'm half Jamaican, so he's a bit of my roots. And I got to see him in the 2012 Olympics run his 200 meter and win gold. And for me, I was just like in the stands, and that was one of my craziest memories to be able to see him and in the stands. Like it was pretty cool.
Amazing. Okay, now we have Andrew who is asking, and I think this is important because we've talked a lot about, you know, as players, but we do have to credit, of course, the development staff, the coaching staff. So he is asking, as a dad of 4 daughters, all of whom play soccer, and as a volunteer coach, what advice do you have for the coaches of young soccer players?
Wow, that's a good one. I think to one of my mentors that I have from, you know, ages ago, probably began a relationship when I was 7 or 8, and he was coaching me, and his name's Shane Campbell, and he works for University of Guelph football, and I think about what makes him such a good coach, and it's the fact that he's so open to conversation. He's so open to challenging me, yet also listening to me. And I think there's that boundary of just being a good person, but then also pushing you. So I think it's like building that trust together where it's like, I know this person believes in me and they have my back, but I know they'll also push me to do better and to do more. So I think it comes down to the relationship and having that open communication, but also being able to, you know, ask questions of each other and really push each other.
We do have a few more minutes left. I'd love to get your input, Desiree, Steph, as well, on what advice you have for coaches that are dealing with younger soccer players.
I think too, I think about like my favorite moments. One, I always speak about having like being a part of a team sport as opposed to an individual one. Like she spoke on those connections you build. And, you know, those are some of the best moments I remember, is just like being out there with my team. And I think making it a competitive environment, but also a fun place to be. Like you can do the hard work, but have fun doing it. So you want people to keep coming back. You want them to enjoy the sport, especially at a young age. So I think finding ways to have fun training sessions, keep it competitive, and have the girls wanting to come back, I think is really key, especially at that young age.
Steph, anything to add before we end this?
Yeah, I think my biggest thing too is like recognizing that all the kids are different and they're all going to have different journeys and have different ways of dealing with communication, dealing with challenges. So like respecting that they're all going to have different experiences. So trying your best to, like Shelina said, build those connections so that you can really understand each player as an individual. But then also, like Desi said, like keep the fun in it, keep it light. Because when kids are happy and when you're enjoying yourself on the field, you're going to perform better and grow more. So yeah, that's my take.
Amazing. Well, Steph, Shelina, Desiree, thank you so much for taking the time to speak to your Canadian fans, for joining us here at the Allstate Soccer Show. Of course, we wish you the best of luck these next few months. We're so excited to see you ladies back in the Maple Leaf. And yeah, anything else you'd like to say before we end this off?
No, thanks for having us, fans. Support us through this Olympic journey. We feel you, even though we're going to be oceans away. Keep supporting us. We appreciate it.
Amazing. And thank you so much, everyone back home as well. And make sure you check out the rest of the schedule for the Allstate Soccer Show. Have a great rest of your day.